I want to call the January 26, 2022 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting to order. If you would, bow your heads and pray with me. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the gifts that we receive from you. We ask that you watch over the men and women who serve in our armed forces as well as our emergency responders. We ask that you particularly watch over those folks who are suffering from this pandemic, the COVID-19 virus, and particularly those who are suffering that illness right now. I ask for wisdom and understanding for this court. Grant us the humility in our everyday life and give us the courage to make right decisions for our Daviess County community. We ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, I want to welcome everyone to our January 26, 2022 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting. We're holding this at kind of an odd hour, but every year at this time, we have to change meetings around to accommodate the clerk and the sheriff's need for budget, to accommodate the fiscal court's need to go to training. And we're probably, I think next month we have some, not the first and third Thursday of the month, but we have some different dates. So always go to the Facebook page and check to make sure when the meetings are. And that being said, this meeting is being broadcast live on our Facebook page. And if you have any questions or comments regarding any of the items on the budget, or on the agenda, then you can text or email to the Facebook page, or you can text or call 270-929-1010, 270-929-1010. We're on I think a 30-second delay, so sometimes you may not be able to get your question to us, but when that question comes up, it will be given to me, and then I'll try to address it if we can. If we can't, if you'll give your name and phone number, I will call you back with the information that you request. Today, we don't have Jenny Warren with us. Brooke, where are you? All right, stand up over there. We have Brooke Hagan. This is her first time of ever running a meeting. You want the gavel?
No, thanks.
Okay. Brooke, just take a deep breath. You will be fine. I promise I won't embarrass you. Are you ready? Hey, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, first item.
1, consideration for a presentation. A, proclaim January 26, 2022 as Dr. Donald Douglas Day.
Okay, and I have a proclamation. Whereas Dr. Donald Douglas was born and raised in a log cabin near Maceo and was the 14th of 16 children, and whereas he was a track and field All-American and academic All-American at Daviess County High School, and whereas he was honored as a Daviess County Public Schools Distinguished Alumni and inducted into the Daviess County Hall of Fame, and whereas he attended the Western Kentucky University, earning a bachelor's degree in biology, and was captain of the track team for all 4 years of college, and whereas he was admitted into Western Kentucky University's Athletic Track Hall of Fame after qualifying for the U.S. Olympic trials twice, and whereas he continued his education in the field of medicine at the University of Kentucky College of Medicine and completed his residency at the University of Louisville Department of Anesthesia, and whereas he has been successful practicing non-narcotic pain management for over 20 years and is the medical director at the Tony Delk IMAC Regeneration Center in Lexington. And whereas he was elected Kentucky State Senator for the 22nd District on November 2nd, 2021. Now therefore, I, Daviess County Judge Executive Al Mattingly, do hereby proclaim in Daviess County, Kentucky, January 26, 2022, as Dr. Donald Douglas Day. And here to accept this proclamation is Dr. Douglas's brother, Charles. Charles, thank you for being with us. I just want to take a minute. It's a long and distinguished history and career. And certainly Charlie and I, when we heard 14th of 16 children, where were you in that line? Number two. Well, I'm the oldest of 12, and Charlie is the 13th of
12th.
12th of 14.
12th to 13.
Or 12th to 13. So anyway, there's a lot, we could field a lot of athletic teams if we put our families together. He just has had a long and storied career. And David brought this to my attention today. I didn't think about it. You know, we have Suzanne Miles and DJ Johnson and Matt Castlin who represent Daviess County, all of Daviess County, they are from Daviess County in the General Assembly. I like to think that now Senator Dr. Douglas, Donald Douglas, will also keep Daviess County in mind when legislation comes up. And if I give him a call, that he might be willing to listen to the needs of Daviess County as well. So now we'll have 4. So, Charles, if you would come forward, and we're going to make this presentation. Commissioners, you want to go down with me? You know, really it does, it gives us great pleasure whenever we can talk about a native son of Daviess County. And anytime that we can honor him, we really appreciate you being here to accept this award on his behalf. I want to turn it around. I'm going to shake your hand. Okay. And just confer to him how proud of him we are in Daviess County. Ready, Judge? All right, 1, 2, 3. Dude, when you want to say anything, you're welcome to go up. You don't have to. You might ask Brooke if she'd like Thank you for very much for being here.
I sure appreciate it, fellas.
Don't feel like you have to stay. The rest of the meeting is not going to be any fun, probably. So if you want to leave, you're welcome, or you can stay.
Yeah, I'll take off and
Okay. Brooke, you
2.
ready?
Yes. 2, consideration for approval. A, minutes of the January 13, 2022 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioners, you all had a copy of the minutes in your hand for some time. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
B, all claims for all departments.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court. Any questions of the treasurer? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
C, resolution number 02-2022 regarding Kimberly-Clark Corporation and Industrial Revenue Bond.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Smith.
Yes, Judge and Commissioners. In December of this year, the State Economic Development Board gave preliminary approval for Kimberly-Clark to do an expansion at their Daviess County facility. It is a $110 million project. $50 million would be spent on an expansion of the buildings and $60 million on equipment. It would bring in 42 jobs at a rate of $48 an hour, including benefits. And there's currently about 337 employees out there. The Daviess County location is in competition with other Scott Paper or Kimberly-Clark facilities. The corporation it plans on making their decision sometime in the first half of this year. They requested that Fiscal Court pass this resolution to confirm our willingness to issue industrial revenue bonds to facilitate this expansion.
David, when they first located here, Daviess County Fiscal Court passed an IRB. Is that right?
That's correct. IRBs, yes. I think it was oddly enough about $110 million to build the original plant.
And that Isn't that about to be paid off?
It will be paid off in the next year or two.
Okay.
It was a 30-year bond. We're not certain as to how long these are, but 30-year bonds are not as common as they were.
Okay. Questions or comments, commissioners?
I will note, as part of the industrial revenue bond, we do require them to make a payment in lieu of taxes to the local school districts.
Okay. Okay. Any other comment or question?
I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to make a comment. I always appreciate them as they're good corporate neighbors and they help us a lot. They do a lot of things and they're great neighbors. So we appreciate them. Want them to know that.
Any other comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
D, agreement with Strand Associates for fire flow master plan study.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Before you start, David, let me just comment that this really is a hydraulic study of our water system in Davis County. A side benefit is the fact that we could expand our fire hydrant policies and provide better fire protection, thus lowering the cost of insurance for people. So go ahead, David.
Yes, that's what I was going to mention. This project will pay for a complete hydraulic model of the Davis County Water District and the area served by the city of Whitesville's water department. This complete hydraulic model will have multiple benefits. It will help allow us to grow and understand what different growth is going to cause within the system. But as the judge pointed out, the main driver to this is with the increased amount of funding we are getting for infrastructure projects. As you all are aware, we got, I believe, $3.7 million last year from the state. The state budget includes another $3.7 million, plus whatever comes down from the Infrastructure Act. We wanted to have a plan to go forward. You know, it's the best way for us to spend money is to have a plan to know how it's going to affect people and to do it in a smart way that doesn't cause problems later on. And in meeting with the fire chief, Assistant Chief Herm, Billy Higdon with the Davis County Water Department, we all felt that the best way forward is to pay for a complete hydraulic study of the system so that we understand what will occur if we extend 6-inch water lines out through the community, which, as the judge points out, if we can extend 6-inch water lines out further, that will allow us to put more fire hydrants out, which will in turn increase fire protection. So part of this not only is that study, but they will also look at areas that are underserved regarding fire hydrants. I think the chief said recently they responded to a fire in the Knoxville area, and it took them 15 minutes to get to the nearest fire hydrant. So we will be looking at ways to get fire hydrants further out into the community, and that will be a part of this. While the modeling will only be done on those two, we will be getting a recommendation on how to extend better fire protection into the East County Water Association's service area and the Ohio County Water Service area. But to hydraulically model those two districts when we're such a small part of it did not make financial sense.
Anything else? Commissioners, this is first let me say we want to get ahead of the game because we looked into applying for some ARPA state funding for trails and other issues, and by the time we got there, it was all gone, and it was gone to people who already had a plan in place, and they could present it immediately. This is one of those examples of why it's so important that we study things. It's so important why we plan for the future. While we may not be doing those things today, we have to be ready when we are asked to present our plans for the future. And sometimes people get all tied up in a single issue and they stop that study and planning, but it's extremely important. So any question or comment?
That is another part of this, is it will be segmented out as to highest priorities. This plan is something that is not just for the next 5 years. this will give us a path forward for the next 20. So quite honestly, this is planning for the future of this county.
And with the plan in place, we really don't know, we think we know which direction we're gonna grow. We don't have a clue of where developers are gonna wanna go and what we're gonna end up 20 years from now. But this is kind of, I like to equate this to and Commissioner Castle, you were familiar with the drainage plan the city came up with. They did this study, they didn't act on it for 5-6 years, but when they did, they were able to accomplish about 60% of the value by spending about half of the money. So it's really important that we do this. Any other question or comment? Yes, sir.
Just got a comment. This would also, by adding more fire hydrants, would lower the insurance costs to the residents as well.
Right. Right now, we've got a hodgepodge of 2-inch to 12-inch lines, and we would hope that this will standardize. There won't be anything smaller into a subdivision or down a road, anything smaller than 6-inch, because that's what's required to provide the flow that's necessary for good fire ratings. Any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
E, contract with HDR for the solid waste transfer station master plan.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, I'm going to have Mr. Smith talk about this, but this is something that was near and dear to Commissioner Wathen's heart. I think George brought it to us after seeing the mess sometimes that we get into up at the transfer station. And so we have finally gotten to move forward with it after talking about it internally for a while. So, Mr. Smith.
Yes, when the transfer station opened nearly 30 years ago, it was designed and operated originally for trash trucks only. There were no individuals coming in, and it was residential trash and no CD&D in. And in fact, back in October of '98, it only took in about 8,000 tons of trash that month. This past October, it took in over 13,000 tons of trash. And we not only have the residential trash trucks like the city and Republic and the local, we also have individuals bringing trash there, and we also have CD&D material now going in there. And in fact, since 2017, while the tonnage is only up 5%, the actual number of trips across the scale has increased 10%. So and there's only been one change in the entire 30 years that it's existed, and that's the scale house moved. So as the judge mentioned, Commissioner Wathen, as the liaison commissioner, has noticed that not only are there traffic conflicts throughout, we have, in many cases, there are safety issues involved of either actual accidents occurring up on the floor or near misses. And it just seems like every time we would go solve one problem, 2 or 3 years down the road, we would create another problem without realizing it. So as the judge mentioned, Commissioner Wathen wanted us to look at and instead of piecemealing trying to figure out what to do to solve a particular problem, to take a large approach and see how the place needs to work better. We know we have issues with the flow of our semi-trucks that can be solved. We know our convenience center, because the amount of individuals now coming there is too small. But before we tried to solve that ourselves, we wanted to make sure that in solving it ourselves, we didn't create a different problem. So much like the other one we just mentioned, this plan is going to be not just an immediate plan of what can be done to solve the current problems, but is also going to be a plan that looks 10, 15 years into the future of what happens if our growth keeps occurring, and ensures that whatever we do today won't interfere with a future expansion tomorrow.
David, HDR, don't they specialize in this kind of
When we
engineering?
looked, if you think about it, there's not a whole lot of transfer stations across the country. I mean, there's hundreds of them, but that's not a huge amount. So when Commissioner Wathen brought this forward, he tasked me to try to find companies that could provide this work. So I did some research into other cities that have had these types of issues, and HDR came up most of the time, and they are in fact the only one one of the few that's located east of the Mississippi River that does this type of work. So they've done it throughout anywhere from Charlotte, North Carolina, all the way to Texas and so forth.
So they're not going to learn on our dollar.
They are not going to learn. We've got numerous examples of where they've gone in, not only to reconstruct transfer stations, to do like we're talking about, of looking at how everything flows, but they've also done designs from the ground up for a new facility.
Commissioners, question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Just a second, Brooke, have we had anything come in yet? Jordan? Okay, Brooke, next item.
F, change order number 05 for RFP 01-2020, P25 trunked radio system.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Judge. This change order is to construct the 250-foot self-supported tower at the landfill utilizing State Master Agreement 758-18262 in the net amount of $282,225. Change orders 4 and 5 were for new tower construction and collectively came in well under our working estimate. This brings our total contract value to $6,375,042 for the P25 digital radio system. We still anticipate the system going live in spring or summer of this year. Our consultant, Trot Communications, Daviess County Engineering, and myself have reviewed it, and we recommend approval.
The P25 trunk system is the radio system that provides communications for sheriff, fire. I think the jail is even on this. Our own operations center, do they get on this as well? So
Yes.
this is pretty much a radio system that provides improved communications for the entire Daviess County area and all those people that serve the citizens. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
G, hire Jill Ransom as staff accountant in the Treasurer's Department effective January 10 of 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion. Second, Jim, do you want to tell us why we're hiring a staff accountant?
Certainly. This individual's being hired in contemplation of my previously announced departure about 11 months from now. That way we'll have everybody trained and backfilled and court will be good to go.
Jill has been here for a little bit. I think she's going to fit right in.
Yeah,
If we can just keep her out of Jordan's office. I'm sorry, if we can just keep Jordan out of her office, we'll get a little work out of her. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
H, promote Danielle Fulkerson as solid waste administrative assistant effective January 31st, 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, we all are familiar with Danielle. She is just doing a transfer to another department. Danielle, thanks for everything that you have done for us in the past in the Parks Department, and I hope you enjoy solid waste. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
I, second reading of KOC A.100.03, 2022, 01-2022, budget amendment number 3.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Mr. Hendricks.
This is the third budget amendment for this fiscal year. This particular one is recognizing the additional $500,000 that we're going to transfer from the general fund to the road fund for asphalt resurfacing. So the entries account for that. We're also recognizing an $8,800 CAECO grant that was not budgeted, so that's in here too. It has been reviewed and approved for form and classification by DLG. Got that a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, about 15 minutes before we come in here, the top account is not the proper account. So the official document that we will return to DLG will reflect that top account is not 01-9200, rather it is 01-4901-00000, which is the prior year surplus account. The account that's recognized there is actually an expense account. So that will fix it. Everything else remains the same. This is the second reading. I recommend approval.
Commissioners, question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're gonna just stop for a little bit. Jordan, any comments on any of the action items up above? None. Okay. Brooke?
3, consideration for discussion. A, other business to be brought before the Daviess County Fiscal Court.
And we have none. Next item.
B, public comments.
This is time during our meeting when normally, if we had folks in the courtroom, we would ask them to come forward. They would be welcome to speak on anything other than what was on the agenda. Since we don't have people here in the courtroom with us and we're doing this virtually, you may email your comments, or you can phone in a question or comment about any item that wasn't on the agenda. As I said, there's a 30-second delay. We're going to move on with comments by the Daviess County Fiscal Court members, and if a question or comment comes in at the end of that, we'll check and we'll address it. So, next item, Jenny, or I'm sorry, Brooke.
C, comments by Daviess County Fiscal Court.
Commissioner Koger,
Pass.
Commissioner Wathen.
Well, I thought we just mentioned they've already got their checks, but there's 5 nonprofit organizations that received funds from working at the Christmas lights at Panther Creek. The total, we brought in just under $32,000. So basically, the 5 different nonprofits split $16,000. The specific number is $3,185 apiece. So, and then the county got the other half, and we'll take that money and spend it back on the light system for next year. But altogether, I think it was I believe it was the second best year we've had. So it was a good year for lights, Christmas lights at Panther Creek.
Easy way for nonprofits to make some money. I would encourage them all to sign up next year because we'll have some new folks doing that. And I want to take the opportunity to thank them for helping us out. There's no way that Daviess County Fiscal Court staff could have handled that by themselves. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Commissioner Castlin.
The only thing I'll say is my grandson, I've reported on him several times to folks. Friday, he'll be 9 weeks old. He's still got his feeding tube. He's off oxygen now. He's still in the NICU. And he's almost taken a whole bottle, which is one of the requirements before he can go home. So we're very hopeful, and thank you all for your prayers.
Okay. Keep sending the pictures.
Will do.
And I'm sure that Teresa is enjoying the fact that she's getting the feeding
Yes.
as well. So,
Yes.
well, I just want to tell everyone to stay warm and safe. And when I talk about staying safe, I want to thank the Daviess County Sheriff's Office and OPD for the job that they do. It's becoming quite concerning as many shootings as we are having in our community. It's not just happening in the city, it's happening outside of the city. It's not just happening on the west end, it's happening on the south side and the east end. I know sometimes people just beat up law enforcement because they're not protecting the citizens. But I'm gonna tell you, a lot of this starts at home, and it starts with parents maintaining a safe and loving environment for their kids and teaching them the difference between right and wrong. So law enforcement can only do so much. Claude, just a quick question. A child that's arrested for shooting or possession of a handgun, are they immediately discharged by the judicial system as people keep saying they are?
No, they are not.
Okay.
The possession of a weapon is different than the discharge
Discharge,
of a weapon.
right.
Discharge of a weapon, they will always be detained, and they're usually detained for, in fact, I think I still have a couple that have been in over 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
the mere possession, usually they don't stay here.
Okay, I'm gonna wait and see what Jordan's gonna do here. You have to remember, Jordan, he's an attorney, he's not an electronics expert.
That's exactly right.
All right, so generally, if they discharge a firearm, if they're shooting at somebody, if they're attacking somebody, they are not just slapped on the hands and turned loose.
They're often in detention for weeks.
Right, okay. It seems to be an epidemic. You know, we're fortunate in this community to have good law enforcement, both city and the county. And I want the law enforcement people, if you're watching this, that you have 100% of my support. And I suspect if I polled the commissioners up here, they would say the same thing. Well, yesterday was the last day, folks. If you had hopes and desires to run for elected office, you had to have thrown your hat into the ring. Boy, we've got lots of candidates for the commission and judge executive in the county. In the city, we had a total of 8 candidates, meaning there is no primary. So they will not, but I think every office except for coroner and jailer, that's correct, I forgot Art. So our coroner and our jailer have no opponents, and they are now gonna move forward into the November election and will be elected if they at least get 1 vote. I'm sure Art will. I'm not so sure about Jeff Jones, but we'll wait and see. Claude, when do we draw for ballot? Isn't that tomorrow?
The 27th, yes.
And that's here at the courtroom.
It is.
And I would say this right now, any of the candidates that want to come to the courtroom to observe, come to the courtroom, please wear a mask and socially distance while you're here. What time?
I believe it's at 2.
2 o'clock. So at 2 o'clock tomorrow, here in Daviess County Fiscal Courtroom, we will draw for the position on the ballot. With that, I've got nothing else. Jordan, any comment, any questions?
We're going to live stream that drawing tomorrow at 2.
Okay, so we will live stream the drawing tomorrow at 2, so if you feel uncomfortable coming, you can watch it on our Facebook page. With that, if there's no other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court without exception, we're adjourned.